I shall be right with you. 2 secs. Let me sort out the chat frame that I always forget about. Make that a bit quieter. Oh. Right, yo, how's it going? How we doing? How we doing? Hang on, sorry. Just got to monitor myself. Hello, everyone. You're here from Algeria. Wow. I always get surprised with the international reach that I seem to have. Just some dude who randomly started making YouTube videos about something he was learning, and now I've Algeria, Pakistan, Turkey. Wow. Really appreciate it all, guys. And thanks for dropping by. Philippines. Nice. How are we all doing? India, of course. I am from the UK. And I literally saved your life. Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're very welcome. I'll take that as a compliment. So I don't really have a huge agenda for this, to be honest. I just felt like, you know, I'd come on, see who was about. Hello from Texas. Hey Stephen. Yeah, and just chat some stuff, see how everything's going, talk about coding, learning code, web scraping, data, videos, anything. Hey Miles. That's a good question. I haven't done a Zillow one for a really long time. Probably, maybe, yes. I'd have to look into it. It's one of those ones that keeps cropping up that I haven't actually done. So I'll have a look into it. I've got a long list of things that I want to do. Hey, Finland. Nice. Quite the international reach. Wow. Nice. I've just got back. I've been away. Had a short holiday just in the south of the UK. Very nice. Good weather. We've had a warm summer for the UK. Mostly it just rains and is grey. I see some talk about GraphQL. GraphQL is something that I'm learning at the moment. So once I've got my head around it and I feel like I can pass on some information, I will. I don't think I like it. I don't know. I'm so used to REST. There's some things I like about GraphQL. My experience has only been with the Shopify GraphQL API. yeah, it seems interesting. So I will, once I've got my head around it a bit more, I'm going to make some GraphQL videos. I don't think it was supposed to replace REST, I think, is like the go-to. I don't think it will. Not for me anyway. But there's some interesting stuff in there, so I'll do some videos on that call soon. Make web scraping in your web app real time. Yeah. So depending on, there's a few things there. You can do it really basic, and what I would suggest is that I don't know what framework you're making your web app in, but I've done it before with all of them, pretty much, all the main ones. You create an endpoint that then just basically runs your web scraping function. The issue you have is if it becomes a really long running task, because then obviously it just hangs there whilst it finishes. And when you start going into task management in your apps, you really need to learn about Celery, which isn't overly complicated. But if you're trying to build something basic and then all of a sudden you need to use Celery to manage your tasks, it can be quite a jump. It is what it is, really. But it's absolutely doable. There's all those, I talked about this last time, there's all those those like paid services that you can use, that you can just send the URL to them and they use the API, and then they'll send you the data back. I find those interesting. I'm not really sure who they're for sometimes. I think I'm gonna build one eventually, just because, not for like trying to profit or anything like that, because there's so many of them out there, but just for to keep it interesting and see. I'd like to do it as a project as to build on stream, but we'll see. I'm not totally sure about coding on stream yet, because I think it's just going to be really boring with you guys just watching me stare at the screen, not knowing what's going on, trying to backseat code, and it's just a disaster. I know what I'm like when I'm code. I just literally stare. More Cloudflare stuff. Yeah, so I'm going to do a video coming up soon, maybe in the next 5 or so, talking about some Cloudflare, because I find it interesting, and how to break some of it. Although generally speaking, it just becomes like a paywall, really. You have to pay for people to break Captchas, and you have to pay for proxies to get through that work and that sort of stuff. So it's not that interesting a subject. It's just a pain. Introduce yourself. I'm not a graduate. I never did computer science. I have a job, full-time job, 9 to 5. I do YouTube and I do freelancing. Busy boy, but I enjoy it. My job is basically, I'm not totally a developer, but essentially I do a lot of other stuff, but I also write code to get it done, I suppose, the right way of describing that. Do I do freelance work? I do. What do I provide? Whatever the client asks for. So like, if they just want the data, I'll just give them a data dump. Or if they want the code, that they want to run it, that's fine, whatever. Cloudflare just updated the challenge, did they? I'm looking into it now. I find it interesting, especially their like the tests that they use, like the JavaScript tests and things like that. What about thoughts about websites that forbid? Yeah, I don't know. Generally speaking, there's a few things I won't touch. I don't do gambling sites, betting stuff and odds. Not, you can, but they've usually got really good protection, and also I'm not against people who want to gamble and do all that stuff. It's just not my thing, so I tend to stay away from those. If it's just someone's put on a website and says, hey, don't scrape my data, doesn't mean anything. Oh, and the other thing I don't do is generally don't do anything that involves going through a login, because I feel like if you write some code to log into a website that you use and pull out your data, that's absolutely fine. But when you start to log into a website and start pulling out all sorts of things, that's when it gets a bit grey, because you've signed up to that website and therefore you've agreed to the terms and conditions, which gives them somewhat more of a legal binding. Although you'd be all right generally. And also you'd be surprised about, most big websites have got so much traffic, they're not even going to notice when you make a few thousand requests. Not even going to notice. Favorite projects you work in, that you've been involved in? There's some cool ones that I've done that I can't really talk about because I did them for a client and I got paid, so I don't really want to talk about it. But I had to learn quite a lot actually about it, because it was pulling a large amount of data. And as we know, the biggest issue with web scraping is scraping at scale. I didn't do anything specific or magical to get around it though. I just had to write a load of code and make sure it logged it all properly and made sure all the bits that worked properly did the right thing. So that was quite cool. That was quite fun. It didn't last too long, but it did enough. And I also do a lot of Shopify stuff, which I find quite interesting, because I like to work with a proper API, because it just opens you up to so much stuff you can actually do. Building applications and stuff. That's pretty fun. What time is it in the UK? It's 2:30. Yeah, we're a long way behind you. It's only 7:30. You're up late, man. Yeah. Encrypted parameters that you couldn't find. Generally, parameters as in, that's interesting. I've not come across that. It's usually just hello Hakim, how's it going, mate? It's usually you need to just convince it that you're all the browser, so you need to copy all the headers, everything, all the cookies, and you need to make sure that they're there and you update them often. It's hard to say without looking, really. HTTP 2 requests. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. What I use at the moment is either just requests, Scrapy, HTTPX, occasionally AIO HTTP. What else? Without starting the whole conversation up again, I use Go as well. I like Go. Baron, hello mate, welcome back. A few names I recognise now coming in here, which is really nice. And a load of new people, which is also really cool. I have a feeling those because I was streaming later at night my time, which unfortunately, because of the time zone, and as I've just showed, as everyone said, I've got an international viewing. It's hard. I can't get it. No one can be in the same place at the same time. Some people need to stay up till 2:30 in the morning. Last time I streamed, I think it was about 3 hours forward from now, so a lot of you guys probably weren't online. So that's I do my best. If I can work it so I can ditch the day job and still make the money that I need to make to live, I would be streaming a lot more, and I would stream more at different times as well, so hopefully catch more people. It's a pipe dream though. How do you handle scaling? Always use Python. Yeah. Scaling with data is basically making sure that you have the right architecture, making sure that you use good databases and you have plenty of testing. Not plenty, but enough testing and enough logging so you know where things are coming in, because you're dealing with raw data, which could be anything. So you need to make sure that you structure it all properly before it gets into your program at the start of your program. And if I'm building something that has to do a lot of scaling, I'll build my own API. Hey Christoph, thanks man. You're not late, it's all good man. I'm just chatting. It's all good man. Thanks for dropping by. I'll build my own API and I'll structure it all, and I'll have like loads of little bits coming into it, all into my own API before it goes back out the other end. Just have much more control. Can you use CSS selectors with Playwright? I'm fairly sure you can. It's probably one of the reasons why I picked it, because I only use CSS selectors. I never bothered to learn XPath. Although I think XPath can be more powerful. I don't know it. There were some questions about making money. Let's always answer those ones. Let's make my... Hang on. Let's make this a bit bigger so I can see. Catching up. Do I have any experience with other programming languages? I started with Pascal. I did it for like 2 years at college, and college was not good for me. College as in UK college, not American college, which is the next step up when we were like 17. I didn't want to learn at that point. Ugh. Should have done. I'm only good at... My Python is my main language, and I use Go as well. I like Go, so I do use it. But I don't really know much else. I mean, I can cobble together some stuff in JavaScript if I have to, but it's not pretty and it's not good. Can web scraping make a career? Probably... Well, yes is the answer. I think anything can. It's not going to be easy, though, because the problem with that is that it's a relatively low entry ceiling. So there's a lot of people that can do that low hanging bit. It just drives the prices down of that, whereas other parts like building applications, API integrations, you're gonna be able to demand more money there because it's not so easy to get started and do. However, if you get really good at scraping data and you can get clients somehow, it's not easy, then you can make some money. Helped you in your daily office work? Oh, that's great. Joel, one of the first major... I'm going to go off on a tangent. I'm going to answer some of these questions. Don't worry, I'm reading everything. One of the first main driving forces for Python for me was I just wanted to automate my day job as much as possible. I found things that me and my colleagues, we had to just keep clicking buttons and do stuff because the system is what it was and you can do it. I was like, well, it's browser based. I can automate this. So I did. So I would get sent, this was a long time ago now, get sent a list of, can you do this with these things, which would have meant I don't know, 5 or 6 clicks per one, and I maybe had 100. So I just wrote a script that took it all and it logged into the system. It was all browser based, all with Python and Selenium. Put the data in, click the buttons, done. Yeah, Stephen, my advice would probably be that it's a good skill to learn and to know how to do it, because it means that you can, if you get clients. So when I found that clients that I've got have liked what I've done, regardless of what it's been, obviously programming, although they come back to me and they ask me, oh, hey, do you know about this? Do you know about this? And like, if it's data based or something like that, if they say, oh, I need the data from here, but there's no actual API, I can do it. So it's a good thing to learn. I would say take the knowledge and the skills that you develop from web scraping and make sure you can understand how to use an API properly, a REST API, how to build them. And I think if you lean more into that sort of area, you're probably going to find it easier to earn more money. Where do I store my data? I don't have that much anymore, but mostly databases. either on my machine, on my local host, or I use DigitalOcean, which is where I store some stuff. And how long ago that question was? Thanks for asking it. Do I follow football? Yeah, I do. Sort of. I support Arsenal. There you go. Someone said asked me if I supported Chelsea the other day, and I nearly quit streaming. Am I a web developer? No. I don't know JavaScript. Do I want to be a web developer? I did. I thought that's where I was going to go. Right now, I much prefer being back-end. I like building. I know you can build CRUD APIs all the time. I like building APIs. I like setting out, defining what models and making sure that they're in the right place, but making useful endpoints, stuff like that. That's what I like to do. I was doing web scraping today, cookie pop-up, which kind of overlaid the screen. Right, so when it pops up, find what you have to click on to make it go away, and then just put that in the start of your code. Getting clients is the hard part. It sure is. Sure is. Do I use threads? No, if I'm web scraping, I use Async. Async is much better because the biggest problem you get when you're web scraping is waiting. It's your code waiting for the response to come back from the server. So I use Async. Makes it much quicker. Actually, my next video is going to be on Async again as well. Trying to make it as simple as possible. In fact, HTTPX async client's really good for that sort of thing. Am I near Warmington? I don't actually know where Warmington is, so no. Let me have a look. A village in England, nice. Where is it? No, quite a few hundred miles away. My videos helped you though? Hey, perfect, man. Perfect. My team creates Scrapy frameworks to fetch and automate. Yeah. Go Gunners, yes. Finally, this is the season. Don't hold my breath, but we had some quality signings. Literally the best transfer window ever. You're a data analyst. Yeah, I think we talked about this before, didn't we? Yeah. Wish I had some more advice. I would have thought if you're a data analyst, look, I don't know because I haven't worked in every company in the world ever, but I reckon, based on my experience with companies that I have worked with, there's going to be a lot of companies around, like medium-sized companies. I know you're in the US, but this is UK companies I'm talking about. They're probably only that don't do and that get all this data but don't do anything with it. So my advice would be, if you're already a data analyst, I would look at e-commerce companies and maybe specifically target like the data that you can get from Shopify or from, what's the other one, WooCommerce or BigCommerce or any of them. Work out, build yourself your own like application. You can pull it out of their API and go and present and say, hey, look, are you looking at this on your data? Are you looking at that? Shopify's analytics are quite good as they are, but if you can provide an extra sort of insight, like business analytics, what's it called? BI? What's that stand for? Anyway, that sort of thing. I'm sure that some companies would find it useful. What are the minimum desktop requirements to run Python? If you can run Windows, you can do it. In fact, I have a... Hang on. Oh, it's stuck. ThinkPad. One of those, like, old school ones. X200. Looks like that. This can do it. And this is a Intel Centrino Core 2 Duo. Gosh, that's slow. I had to put an SSD in it. I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't, but you can. You have to run Linux on this though. Windows is just too much of a hog. Should be good. Have you ever rejected? Yes, I've rejected lots of projects. I have. Mostly because, unfortunately, some clients are very unrealistic with what they want and also how much they want to pay to do it. You try and explain where you're like, this is going to take me time. Even if I charge you less for my time, it's still going to take me time to do this. Thread pool executor is threads. It's not async, I don't think. Were you not able to scrape a website and you gave up? Yeah, I think that has. Yeah, I've got to the point where I've gone, this is just going to take far too much effort. So no. You have a similar laptop? Oh, the T500. That's much better than what I've got. I bought this. Kind of just for fun, really. I think it cost 90 quid, £90, $110 ish. I had to get a new SSD. I just run lightweight. No, I think it just runs Ubuntu, but I use i3WM. I like the keyboard. Don't like and much else. The screen's tiny as well. It's impossible to click on the I agree button. Okay, so that's a different problem. Are you running the browser in headless or in not headless? That makes sense. You bought an OLED display monitor. Is that like, what size is it? Because I've seen people that have like 42-inch OLED monitors as their one monitor, and I'm like kind of jealous, but I also think my eyes would go funny. I have a 32. I have a 32 in front of me and a 27 vertical. Most of the time the 27's off. It's on an independent arm. It's off and pushed out the way. I find even just sat here turning my head for a long period of time, looking backwards and forth, I get neck pain, which is really boring. So I have a big monitor and I use i3 to just push all my windows around. It's brilliant. How do you find clients? Either by word of mouth. You've got to get started. It's that whole thing. You've got to have money to make money. You've got to have clients to make clients. I got quite a few clients through YouTube, though, to be fair. So I don't really know what to say about that. What type of projects do you turn down? Well, I kind of touched on that a bit. Ones where either the client is extremely unrealistic with what they want, or it's not worth the effort for me. If I needed the jobs, I would take them and do them. But for me right now, I wouldn't need to do them. How can you differentiate whether the website... Okay, so the first thing you want to do is view source. Go to the page you want the data from. Go view source, not inspect element, view source, and search for some of the text that you want. If it's in there, you can use request and beautiful soup. If it's not, you'll need to find another way because it'll be loaded by JavaScript. How much do you charge for scraping? Estimate. How long is a piece of string? Depends what it is. I've charged as little as about $80 and as much as a lot. It's very custom to the project. How do you scrape websites that have captchas? I try and avoid the captchas. If you can't avoid them, you have to use a captcha solving service. You have to pay. The people just solve it for you, send you back like the authentication. It's not that great. It's not that interesting. It just is what it is, unfortunately. Some of the most useful scrapers you've made for myself. Probably the most useful ones are like store monitors, I guess, for me, for my personal usage. Same dual core CPU as mine. Nice. I thought it was a bit older than that. T480, is that a new one? I don't know what that is. I have a new one as well, but I don't like it. I don't like it. Hang on. It's over here. Do you know, I'm really struggling to get a laptop nowadays. Not, what's this one? E590, i5. Don't like it as much. I don't want a. I was gonna buy a Mac, but I was like, oh, I can't. Hang on, I need to change the music. It's just I couldn't do it. This is too much money. Although editing is a pain in the ass on Linux. It's not great, although it's good enough. Oh, sorry, I'm just catching up with some catching up with questions. I'll get to them all. You like scraping Amazon? Amazon's a good one to target, especially when you're learning. It's good. How do you tackle when the private API returns weird JavaScript? Depends what the JavaScript is. That's an interesting question. Hey Nick, how's it going, mate? You've made tons of progress on your project? You're having problem? Okay. Right. Let me what's the best way for me to do this? I'll email them. If you can, my email's on my YouTube page. If you drop me a line and just tell me what's going on, I'll email my guy and I'll lean on them for you. I should hopefully help. Thanks for letting me know. I'll yeah, if you could email me and I'll speak to them. I'll do it after this, or whenever you email me, I'll forward it on. Do you have ongoing projects or mostly just one-off? A lot of them are one-off, except if I build APIs or applications, because then I try to run it for them as well. So I kind of like it kind of ongoing a bit. You have an i5 second gen, very old, but still works. Yeah, I think I don't know. Maybe this is biased, but I blame Windows. I tried to use my. I still have in my Windows installed on here. And I tried to use it because I was like, I had a few problems streaming on Linux. I guess it seems to be working now because no one's complaining. But it's just rubbish. It just tries. Even when I told it never update for anything. Why are the residential dynamic proxies so slow and unreliable? That's interesting. That's not been my experience. Send me the details and I'll try and help you out. Use ThinkPads can be cheap. Yep. Yeah. I've been looking at what's up with sneaker proxies. Honestly, I think it's a marketing gimmick. I could be wrong, but I can't see, from what I understand, I can't see what they are like that for. I don't know. I've been thinking, because I want to get a new laptop, and I'm happy to throw a bit of money at it, but I didn't know what to get. And I know the M1 Max is supposed to be really good. I just can't. I don't want to spend. Well, it's nearly $2,000 for the M1 Mac, M2, M1 MacBook Pro. I don't really want to spend that. Maybe I'm just tight. Who knows? Do I have a Discord server? Yes, I do have a Discord server. No one's invited yet, though. If you can find it, I'll let you in. Your M1's proving to be painful. Well, I don't think I'm going to get one. I was going to get one of the M1 Airs, because you can get them much cheaper, especially now. And then I thought, oh no, I'll wait for the new ones to come out, but I was just not in. I don't know. They put the price up. The only reason I wanted the M1 Air was for the chip, for the battery life, the portability. And then they've made it, and the price. And then now the M2 Air is like, you might as well buy a MacBook Pro. Data center proxies are easy to detect. Yeah, they more are. Yeah. It's like if you were trying to use a VPN. I have a VPN that I use for. Well, I don't really use it for much anymore, to be honest. But it's almost all the IPs you get on there are just blocked by everything. It's the most beautiful ever. Sending email, watching Netflix. Alexander, I know, right? I have this like, sort of kind of vague kind of ideas. Like, oh yeah, I could go when I go out and about. I could, just get my MacBook Air out and just do a bit of work. And every time I go out, I don't want to. So I don't know what the point is. Although I do want a laptop. I'm going to need one at some point. I'm kind of tempted with some of these like dedicated Linux laptops. I know it's not really that much, but I don't know. We'll see. I don't need one at the moment. I've got 3 laptops. I have a MacBook. This is a 2012, I think. You get these for like 300 quid now. MacBook Pro. It's pretty good. I like the construction. It's just not very fast. And the screen's funny shape. As in, funny aspect ratio. 27.5K iMac. Nice. I can see some conversation about learning Scrapy. Yeah, definitely. Definitely learn it. It's literally the thing. It does everything. Everything and almost anything you can think of that you'll need, someone's done. What services do I use? I can't remember what they're called. I just Google Captcha Solver. 2Captcha, I think, is one of them. And it just sends it off and people solve it for you and send it back. I really don't like that, to be honest, but it is what it is. Myth, you need a premium laptop to code. If you don't have a brand new MacBook Pro to code on, I'm afraid you can't be in the gang. I'm joking. I showed him my X200 90 quid laptop. Code on whatever you've got. Doesn't matter what it is. Start. Never try and put, I'm so guilty of this as well. Don't put gear in the way of stopping you doing something. Like, the camera gear I've got is great. No one cares. It's just that simple. No one cares. It's all about what you do. Having said that, I don't think I could run any Docker stuff on my X200. It might die. We always look for excuses. Yeah. The amount of things that I've bought that I've thought, oh yeah, this will be great, this will make it better, I'll use this, and you never do. Is Scrapy? No, Scrapy is literally like a proper framework. So like if you think of Django for web applications, Scrapy is that for web scraping. It's so good. It's got everything. The reason why I don't do so many videos on it is because it gets quite in-depth and a bit more techie, and it's not that interesting. What I want to try and do is make my videos as interesting as possible to show the concepts. Having said that, my Scrapy video is literally the second best video I've ever done, after that one randomly took off 2 months ago and went like this, straight up to the moon. No idea what happened, but I'll take it. Do you have a mountain bike in the background? Yeah. Makes a nice piece of wall art. It's one of those things. I've also, it's one of those things that I decided to buy, and I was like, probably not going to use this very much, but I'll have it forever. Star Labs, that's the one I was looking at. Star Labs was the one I was looking at, but you got like a 6-week wait time. And I find, I don't know, I know they're a British company as well, but I don't know. It's like, I spec'd one out, I think it came out to about 1100 with the Ryzen 7. But it's hard to spend that much money on something you never actually touched. I suppose you can return it, but I think that's what I'll go down, that road I'll go down, but I don't know. Big tip, don't use Linux. Hey, I do everything on Linux. Even the things that are a bit harder to do on Linux, I still do them. Need a window manager, man. I need i3. You got so much better at web scraping. Hey, thanks, man. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate that. I used to use Selenium. Yeah, that's why I try to make so many videos that are like, look, it should be the last resort. Don't use Selenium. It's the last resort. I've seen developers make their life so difficult just because they want to use Linux instead of Windows. Yeah. I'm not against. So I started using Windows, but I found I would literally just use what's it called? Subsystem for Linux. WSL. So yeah, I think that's a myth. Linux is free if you don't value your time. Just use Ubuntu, it works straight away. If you don't value your time, you want to use Arch, then yeah, totally agree with you there. But just use Ubuntu or Debian, done. No big deal. Praveen, you always miss my stream. Hey, you're here now. I'm still going. We've only been going 45 minutes, so we're going to carry on for a bit. You can mine crypto if you want, I suppose. I was aware. I thought that unless you had like massive GPUs, mining crypto wasn't that useful. You're a system admin? Oh. Okay. Well, that's cool. I'm not a system admin. I had the issue with NVIDIA. Yeah, I mean, that is the thing. I mean, I have an NVIDIA graphics card in this, and I use the proprietary drivers. Yeah. I haven't had any problems recently. I did when I started using it a long time ago, but now it's makes a few dollars a day. Fair enough. Fair enough. Did NVIDIA open source their drivers? I have no idea. Maybe they did. Sounds like you've had lots of bad experiences. I haven't had those yet, so I'm not going to buy in. I've had those bad experiences with Windows as a user, not as a system admin, as a user. Windows updating, it's slow as fuck for me. Distributed scraping solutions. No. If I understand what I think you're saying, no. I've tended to only ever do things that I've like built myself for people that do a specific thing for them. Yeah, drop me an email, Nick. Thanks for dropping by, man. Appreciate it. I'll speak to you later. There's a framework for Scrapy. Yeah. Yeah. Something I should really look into. Are you the only one that can't see the screen? I hope you are, because if you aren't, no one said anything yet. What are you? It's just me on the screen. There's nothing else. And the chat. I haven't got anything on my actual, nothing else on my screen yet. What got you into web scraping? Trying to automate my job, working out what I could do with making browsers work. And how I could automate things. And that led me on to pulling data that I wanted to do certain things with. And then I went from there. Am I a programmer from the start? No. Self-taught programmer, seriously, for the last 5 years. Yeah, Stephen, I think our experience is probably going to be different to a system admin. I think I'd probably have similar opinions if I went through that sort of pain. I just haven't as a user. What tools do you suggest for web scraping based on programming languages? I only really know 2 programming languages. Python, Request, Beautiful Soup, Scrapy, and I know a bit of Go, which has Collie, which is a framework, which I like. But I do everything. All my stuff's Python, basically. I only use Go as more of a fun language because I don't know it that well yet. How long did it take you to get comfortable coding with Python? A few years, honestly. I did programming at school, but that was it. So when I started learning again, I knew what a loop was. I knew what an array was, or in that case, that sort of stuff. Yeah, I'm all self-taught, which means there's massive holes in my knowledge, which, but is what it is. What else do you program? Do some back-end work, make APIs and stuff like that. I quite often make my own APIs to put my scrape data into, just so I can control the in and out flow easier. Not affiliated or something? Hey, that's absolutely fine, mate. I'm more than happy for you to share anything that is relevant to the conversation that you think is good. Not a problem. Not a problem. Can web scraping be taken as a full-time job? Honestly, yes and no. I think if you want to do it full-time, you would need to build your own scraping solution. Something like, you see those people that make their own scraping APIs, something like that, but a bit more and better. Try and find a new take on that. I think if you just rely on clients, possibly. I only do it to supplement my income, so I still have a full-time job and YouTube. So it can be done. I would say, depending on where your skill level is at, I don't know specifically, but I would take the knowledge that you've learned from working with web, working with APIs, working with data, and I would then go off on a different tangent and either build APIs yourself, back end, or maybe go off into data analysis, something like that. I think that's probably going to serve you better. Does Scrapy have some mechanism to start where it left off? I don't know about that specifically, but it definitely has ways to deal with retries and stuff like that. Do I have any videos on creating APIs? One, but it's quite old. I'm working on another one, and I've done one recently which bombed a bit about creating a basic API with Django. Started scraping here, got a full-time job. Fair enough. Well, there you go. Do I use freelance sites? I have done, and I have had work through them, but not related to this. And would I recommend them? Not really. It's a race to the bottom. So I've not had the best experience. Although people do make it work. I just think it's a small percent of people. Scrape ops. I'll have a look at it. Probably not going to talk about it right now, but I'll make a note of it and I'll have a look. Race to the bottom, yeah. Do I monetize my APIs? No, I tend to I either build them for myself to push data into, or I build them for other people. Yeah, basically. Would it be better to turn scraping into business and create your own APIs? Yes. Yeah, probably. I think so. I think if you're relying on getting clients that want you to do specific tasks, it might be a bit more difficult. I think I would probably try and turn it into your own business if that's the way you wanted to go. Django is a huge learning curve. It seems like the thing with Django is if you're not familiar with how web apps work in the like it, as in the principles, it's all a bit odd, especially when you look at Flask and it kind of all makes sense generally to you. Otherwise, so yeah, Django's a bit weird in that respect. In fact, I started with Flask and then moved over to Django when I realized that it would save me writing loads of code. That's why I use it, I'm going to be honest. It's not the fastest, it's not the slowest, it's not the fastest, it's not the lightest by any means, but you get an admin log in, you can easily create APIs super quick. And unless you really in that like 1% need that speed, I just use whatever. Although I do use other things as well. I quite like Sanic. It's lightweight, it's like Flask. Are you referring to robots.txt before scraping? No, not normally. In fact, on my Scrapy projects, I just turn it off straight away. How do you get yourself known? The best thing you can do is build a YouTube channel and get really, really lucky. I don't know, honestly. Be a part of communities, provide people with value for things, try and get your name out there. It's not easy. Is it possible to scrape LinkedIn? I'm sure it is. It's one of those ones I try and stay away from just because it's there was that big court case about it all, although it went the way of whoever was trying to get the data. But you need to log in, and it kind of falls behind my kind of like generally stay away from logging into stuff type thing to scrape. JavaScript can be a good choice. Can be. You use, is it Node or Express? I don't know. I don't know JavaScript that well, to be honest. I did a couple of videos on it, but I don't know it well enough. Flask seemed much more straightforward. Yeah, it is. The main thing with Django is that it's just so much easier to write, to get all the boilerplate. So like the models are super easy. The migrations are all there, super easy with the manage.py command. It's just whatever my point of view is what's the quickest that you can get something up and running. Have you used Puppeteer? That's the Node one, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just a headless browser, just like any other one. The end result's the same. It's just how you get there. Facebook private group posts. Again, I haven't actually done that. You have to log in for all that sort of stuff. So it's probably going to have to be some kind of browser automation, I think. Bypassing Captchas and Cloudflare. There's I was going to talk about this another time. There's a thing, I think it's called Cloud Scraper, which gets past the basic Cloudflare check. Captchas you kind of just have to solve. You have to pay for a service to solve them, really. That's pretty much it. JavaScript is too painful for me. Yeah. Have you created a Chrome extension? No. I don't know why. I know people do. I don't know why. Can't see how useful that would be. I don't know why you would do that. proxy recommendations, I'm currently sponsored by IP Royal, so that's my recommendation. With LinkedIn, you can scrape it with 1 million retries, fresh browser sessions, and rotating proxies. There you go. That's the cost of entry. What's it called? Cost of entry? The arms race. Yeah. Yeah. Looking at laptops again. I really shouldn't. Cool. Well, that's about an hour. It's not bad. I think I might duck out now. But I'll be back on again over the weekend. Let's answer these ones. Scrapy playwright, poorly documented. It's a small project, but it's written by one of the guys who contributes or develops Scrapy. So it does. I think it just assumes a good knowledge of both Scrapy and playwright that you put it together. Give us a Discord link, bro. No, you can find it. I don't have a Discord yet. When I do, you won't be able to see past my Discord link because I'll be spamming it, getting everyone in there. I don't use any extensions. I don't have a problem with that. I found CSS selectors easier to learn than XPath. Although you can go into the if you go into inspect element, there's like a search box and you can search using CSS selectors there, and it will go to the elements that you're looking at. I do that a lot. Right, I'm gonna call it there. It's about an hour. I've had a good chat. Thank you very much to everyone for joining. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate everyone asking, talking, having conversations. It's brilliant. It's fantastic. Exactly what I wanted. I will be back over the weekend. I can't tell you when because they're always a spur of the moment thing because I can't stick to a schedule because I'm not that good a streamer yet. One day maybe. As always, this is going to be the way I sign off now, isn't it? It's going to be Discord's coming once I get people to run it for me. Anyway, cheers guys. Thank you very much for coming. Appreciate it. And I'll see